Everyone, good morning. So today this is a Saturday. I'm not too keen about working and doing stuff on Saturday, but I got so much on my plate. I gotta do something. So today I'm gonna attempt to fix this AC unit or see if it works in the first place. About 2 months ago, I disassembled and demolished an RV, and this thing came out of it. A lot of knick-knack stuff that has came out of that RV have worked with a little bit of luck, and I know I haven't filmed a lot of it because I just didn't have any time. Again, I got a lot of them on my plate, but I did promise my wife I'm gonna try to film more interesting stuff I'm doing. So I'm gonna mess with this unit, see if I can get it up and running. That would be nice to have a AC unit that can cool 300 to 400 square foot. And these are pretty much notorious for those type of tasks. So I'll move the camera, give you a better angle on the electrical box of this unit, and get started. Okay, let's get started here. So I have no idea if this thing works. We're gonna see live if it does or doesn't together. First of all, let's open up this box and move the wiring out of the way, somewhere we can work with them. Alright, that seems to be the right type socket. So let's open that up. At least I'm predictable with my own tools, that's a good thing. It's gonna be a little tricky to open it up. I'm gonna bring an angle here. Oh wow, open up real easy. Let's see if we don't have any surprises, nope. So, what do we have here? We got a relay, some wiring going to the motor, a relay. This doesn't look terribly complicated. Okay, so we got two blacks here. Now, I'm going to guess that this is the input power on this, just because of the gauge of the wires. And this would be thermostat wiring, since it has 5 wires. And we got positive and negative and control for the thermostat. I'm not an HVAC professional, but these are normally standards on AC units, as far as I understand or remember. And these AC units are pretty straightforward. You got an electric motor spinning your airflow on both inlet and outlet and pushing the hot air from the evaporator unit, and the same motor runs the fan that goes on the condenser unit, and you got yourself a compressor that moves the gas between the condenser and the evaporator. Condenser cools, evaporator releases the heat to space, and that's how an AC unit pumps temperature from one area to another. These systems are, again, pretty straightforward. There isn't too much complexity on this stuff. Now, since this is a 50-year-old unit almost, because this was probably made somewhere in the 70s, I wish there was a date on the capacitors that would allow me to see when, but there isn't one. And there is an information plate on this, but the information plate is pretty much worn out completely to the point where you can't read anything. Alright, so first thing, it would be a good idea to check the individual components before we feed it power, because you don't want a breaker to trip or something to explode in your face. These electrolytic capacitors have fluid in them, and a lot of times they would be dry if they didn't get power for a very long time. Let's see, hopefully my tester here has capacitance on it. No, it does not, so I cannot test the capacitor. Well, I guess we're gonna have to cross our fingers. What we can do is test kind of continuity on the relay coils, because that's resistance. Let's see, resistance, let's do 200 ohms, that should be good. Hopefully you guys can see the voltmeter. Alright, well, I have no idea what goes, which leg is going to be the coils, but I'm going to assume that this one and this one would be the coils, just because they're a little bit out of the relay area. Let's see. Alright, that's direct continuity, that's not resistance. Well, it's technically resistance, but it's not a coil. Now that would be a coil, but the question is, for what? It could be the motor itself, could be something else. I'm gonna go grab something from the bedroom. I'll be back in a second. So I'm going to detach a couple of wires here in order to see if I can actually measure resistance across the coil motors and try to figure out what is what, so I'll have better knowledge. So it's always a good idea to take a picture before you do something like that and you forget what you're doing. Alright, so now, since this thing is going to be the main power, let's track the wires here for a second. And that would be hot wire, and this would be neutral wire. As we can see, it's running a nice thick cord. That nice thick cord is being traced to... Okay. That thick cord goes to the compressor. So we know that's main power. It's going to the compressor. Now the compressor would have to be on a switch. And and it looks like the neutral turns into this yellow wire, which also goes to the compressor. So we got ourselves hot wire and neutral wire going to the compressor off the relay switch. So that means that this is a switch right there. That leg is going to be a switch. Now, question is, alright, so that would be the feed to the switch. Now the question is, which one is the actual switched line? Which one is being turned on and off when getting power, or when not getting power? It looks like they might have put control for the compressor on the ground side or on the neutral side. Alright, let's do this. Let's unplug the compressor. Come on, get out of there. Alright, it doesn't want to budge. I don't really feel like fighting with it. Now, Alright, so it's not the best idea in the world to plug this thing straight into mains and see if it works or not. But I'm gonna do it because I don't really feel like messing with stuff too much today. If it blows up, it blows up. If it works, awesome, we got an AC. That would be the short route of testing this thing. And I don't feel like doing the long route, honestly. So, I am going to strip these two wires, put a plug on it, plug it in, figure this wiring out so I can plug it into this thing as a test, and of course cross my fingers it works. It should. It's a standard AC thermostat, so it should. Let's go find a plug. Let's see if we can find a plug. You guys have never seen my tool storage area, so that should be an interesting treat for you. Now, I gotta warn you, it's a bit of a mess because we're in the process of building stuff while we're moving. So that is not the best way to do things, but it is what it is. And that's my tool area. Yeah, I told you it's a mess. Anywho, you guys can sit here while I'll be looking for an electrical plug. Okay. Alright, we got a plug. It'd be cool if this thing worked. Just plug it up and it works. That'd be awesome. 50-year-old AC unit. Is this stuff safe to do? Probably not. Since when I'm safe? I don't really practice safety very well. I practicing them. Being practical about stuff. Does anyone remember which side phase is supposed to be? It's been a while for me since I wired stuff like this, so I believe it's right. Or for who doesn't know much about electricity, phase would be hot wire. Electricity in America is known as split phase, which is really 220 divided into 2. I try to do things textbook for the most part. That's not always the case when you're just wiring something quickly to test it. It's not going to be wired textbook, that's for sure. Connections here look pretty corroded. I'm hoping power is going to still get to where it's supposed to go. Alright, so we got a plug. Ready to go. Now we need to wire up these controls. And the other question I need to ask is, does this run on power or on battery only? Because if it's battery only, it might be a little bit challenging. Now weirdly enough, these wires are pretty thick. I wonder why they installed such thick wires to a control board. There's no business of having such thick wires. Might have to go online and check some stuff. I have no idea. I was going to assume it doesn't have fan control, but you know what? Don't assume nothing. Assumptions are the mother of all fuck-ups. That's the sentence I was looking for. Alright, well, I'm gonna start by stripping them, so when I'll be ready to connect, armed with the knowledge, I can just connect them. Alright, this is ready to be connected now. Let's go online real quick and pull up the specs for this unit. This Honeywell thermostat. What's the model number? Okay, max load is 24 volts output. So, interestingly enough, this thing does not have a transformer anywhere, which kind of makes me leery, is the right word, or eerie, about plugging this up straight to this Honeywell control. Because if it doesn't have a transformer, that means it's sending 120 volts into these lines, which is not the best idea in the world. That is just a bizarre setup. I guess what I can do is I can plug this thing up and see if I'm getting mains on these lines, which I shouldn't. I should be getting 24 volts between the red and black at best. Alright, let me grab a power line here. Now, again, I'm not doing safe practices. This is not safe. I'm I'm gonna plug this up and see what happens. Nothing should happen. It should stay off, but again, you never know because this thing hasn't been running, or as far as I know, it hasn't been running for at least 20 or 30 years. It could be it died, it could be it ran out of Freon, nobody used it anymore, it could be any number of things. It could be it still works, and whoever moron played with an RV just disconnected the power line. Alright. Holy hell. Alright, this thing started up. Something's making noise. Not sure what. I know it's not the fan. It looks like it does have Freon in it. I just heard Freon moving when I disconnected it. Yup, it's circling Freon. So these lines have just cooled enough that you can feel the difference. And this is heated up. So this system works. And it looks like the circulatory system of the gas is functioning. And that is really the main unit of an AC. So if that is running, that means this can be fixed and be used. Now, I plugged it in and it ran for a couple of seconds, but I didn't test the voltages here, which is something I should have done. I'm going to probably do that again in a second, but I would like to have a setup where I can just touch the exposed leads and see if they carry anything. Alright, let's try this one. Take some measurements, see what that gives me. So some of these should have a voltage on them, and some of these would be completely dead. The ones that are dead, in theory, should be receiving power. And if you shorten the dead ones with power, in theory, it should kickstart this fan. Again, this is all theory. I have no idea what the heck I'm doing, right? I am not a certified electrician or an HVAC person. I did do quite a bit of electrical work in Israel. So, that system's running. I don't understand really why the compressor is working, because it's not supposed to. Yeah, it's definitely getting cold, which is pretty awesome. Taking under advisement, it was sitting for who knows how long. This is weird. It is not supposed to run. The compressor is not supposed to run, which means it's wired wrong. the real wiring up. Alright, so the black is going here. Now here we got several discolored wires. Alright, it looks like they found it. I think. There's that blue wire. Damn it, I can't see. Don't have enough light, folks. Nope, that's a blue wire. Alright. Let's try this again. Okay, so this black. Let's pull on and see where it goes. Alright, it seems like this is the black we're tracing right there. And it's going out. It's going out that way. But here this is the only black I have with that thickness. And it appears to be going into the motor. So that might be motor control. Alright, so it looks like we got 3 lines going into the compressor. 3 very thick lines going into the compressor. So we can knock those off. It's going to be a red, a yellow. Yes, there are 2 reds here. Alright. Thicker ones, I guess. And a black. These 3 go into the compressor. So we got 5 lines going into the motor. What kind of motor has 5 channels going into it? $115 volts, 60 hertz, 2.75 amps, and 370 VAC. Okay. Alright, so I need to think for a second. Going in. I know it's not 3-phase, but maybe capacitors to flip frequencies so it can make the motor spin. That makes sense. But this means that this entire unit runs on mains 100%. So these wires here don't go to a standard controller. They're just switch wires. That means some of them are thicker, some of them are not as thick. So I'm assuming the thick ones are going to be going. I wish I had a model number for this thing, so I can look up the electrical schematic. Yeah, it's another capacitor. There's a resistor on it too. Alright, so I don't really want to fry this thing because it's semi-working. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I might just bag this in and put it in a storage and deal with it when we have a piece of land or I have a workshop to work in. Hell, this might become a workshop AC unit. So it's definitely nice to know that the circulatory system works. You know what, I'm gonna scrap this video. It wasn't worth doing. Or was it? I don't know. Alright folks. Alright folks, I'm back. So I've looked online, tried to find the schematics for this thing or any kind of diagram that shows the difference between a house AC and this one. Honestly, I'm not in the mood to deal with it. I don't even know why I started. And after 10 minutes of searching for information, I couldn't find anything useful. I'm gonna quit for today with this thing. I'm gonna go back in the bedroom, sort files, so I have more space for more videos. And that's it. I will, in the future, when we have a piece of land, bring this thing out of the storage, fix it, and make sure it works. But for right now, I'm gonna quit with this. I'm not in the mood to deal with it. As I said, I have no idea why the hell I even started. Which should be a lesson. If you're not in the mood to do something, don't do it. That's pretty much it. Now I gotta clean up, put my tools away, and go back to the bedroom and rest. Because I got other stuff to do this week. I have a very busy week, very complicated week. Alright. You guys have a wonderful day.